Olá pessoal, muito boa tarde para vocês. Hoje é dia 21 de outubro e nós estamos começando mais um bate-papo aqui da série Think with Google, em complemento aos eventos presenciais que o Google realizou em São Paulo nesse ano de 2013. É um prazer enorme poder estar aqui de novo, mediando mais essa nossa conversa hoje sobre o tema. Acho que nós vamos falar um pouco de marketing digital, né? Nós vamos falar inglês de novo hoje aqui, porque nós temos um convidado ilustre também à distância. Mas antes eu vou apresentar as damas que estão aqui do meu lado. Eu estou com a Regina aqui. Seja bem-vinda, Regina.
Tudo Obrigada, bem? prazer a todos. Estamos aqui no mais uma edição dos Thinks, continuidade aí dos eventos que a gente fez em agosto. Hoje vamos falar bastante de temas mais de Web Analytics, Digital Marketing. A gente trouxe o Avinash, o nosso grande palestrante, tanto de tech como de retail. A Claudia está aqui do meu lado, vai falar um pouquinho também. E vou até passar já para a Cláudia, para a gente não demorar tanto, e aí entrar no que vai valer a pena mesmo no papo de hoje.
A Cláudia está aqui também. Seja bem-vinda, Cláudia.
Obrigada. Estamos todos ansiosos para poder conversar com a Avinash de novo. Ele gabaritou no resultado da pesquisa. Eu acho que todo mundo queria um pouco mais e que bom que a gente tem um Hangout para proporcionar isso para quem atendeu ao evento, né? Então, vamos direto às perguntas aqui e aprofundar nos temas que a audiência pediu um pouco mais depois do evento.
Então, deixa eu trazer o nosso convidado. Let me invite you to join us. Now we start talking in English. And, welcome, Avinash. How are you?
I'm doing fine, thank you. Hi, everyone.
It's a great pleasure having you here with the ladies on my side. First of all, I'd like to ask yourself to introduce yourself, because I'm seeing you are a digital marketing evangelist. And I can say I have no idea what Evangelist is on digital marketing. Could you tell me what do you do?
Sure. Well, the good thing about having a title like that is that you can do anything and you can do everything, and it means that you get to solve any problem that you like solving. So I'm a big fan of titles like that. But in a nutshell, what it means is that I am really passionate about getting companies to move to a new way of finding people and influencing them. And I get to look across the entire ecosystem of digital. That includes Facebook and Twitter and Google and Bing and Yandex and Baidu, etc. So my goal is to look across the entire digital spectrum and work with Google's largest clients to figure out how to move from the last century into the next century. If possible, skip this one if we can, in order to create great digital experiences. So I get to challenge, I get to bring new ideas, I get to work with companies that want to be fantastic on the internet.
Mm-hmm. You both ladies are directors on business sectors at Google. Do you want to talk about your sectors and ask Avinash something about this?
Sure. Yeah.
What do you want to say?
Yeah, I think Avinash is amazing because he's able to give feedbacks around website experience, what is very, very good for the advertisers to understand where they have to focus and where they need to develop. So I would like, and Avinash talked a lot about that during the Think events in September. So I'd like just to remember and to have him highlighting what are the three big areas for improvement he saw while studying our verticals. So our verticals are retail, OEMs, and telco. So if you could highlight three areas for improvement that we saw in these three verticals, what would be, Avinash?
Sure. So for me, everything starts by focusing on the customer. That's why I am such a big fan of understanding the website experience or the mobile experience. And it's simply because everything that we tend to do begins and ends with that. So you go out and buy a lot of advertising on Google, and if the world's worst website, then what's the point of that, right? So a lot of it starts with the digital experience we create, and especially for the e-commerce sector, during my experience there, I felt that there was a a big chasm to cross from websites that might have been created for the early 2000s and the possibilities that exist today in 2013 going into 2014. So just the ability to create amazing experiences that delight your customers who visit and drive higher conversion rates. So even for wonderful companies like Netshoes as an example, I think that if you look at what Netshoes does and what everybody else does, you will see a big gap. But then if you compare Netshoes to the best sites out there in the world, not in the United States, but in other parts of the world, you will realize that there is a long way to go. So what I want to do first is to set a much higher standard for what we believe to be incredible digital experiences, clutter-free, that provide just the information you need at the right time, that make sure that your bounce rate is really low so that people don't come and puke and leave right away. So the very first thing is the digital experience that we create. The second thing that I found very interesting is that there are people on Google and Bing that are searching, Brazilians, they're searching every single day for the products and services that that Brazilian companies provide. And yet, I showed in my presentation how even for some of the very large companies in Brazil, if you look at the top category share they have or the top brand share they have, they are barely showing up for 10%, 20% of the time. And that is crazy because unlike TV, where you have no idea who is sitting at the other end, you have no idea if it's a man or a monkey, you have no idea if they want to buy anything. When people use these digital channels, they're raising their hand and they're saying, sell to me right now. And these companies are saying, no, thank you. Now that boggles my mind, right? Why is it that when people are raising their hands, they're saying, sell to me, you dare to say no, thank you? Is that how to shoot myself, right? So it's number two, right? There are people right now on Google that are raising their hand, and you should show up. There are people on many Brazilian websites, other websites, that are showing their interest in your products and services. And you should figure out how to use display ads. You should use how to figure out social ads. You should figure out how to use these other ads to stand up in front of people who raise their hands. So that's the second one. And the third one, I think that is already important, but transforming at the speed at which becomes important is mobile. In Brazil, there are many hurdles to many people having mobile phones and tablets, the kind of phones that are available in the marketplace today, and the affordability of these phones. That is changing, right? There is a challenge, but it is changing. Yet today, when I type in most of the Brazilian websites, whether it's retail, in fact, in my keynote, I typed in the websites of the big telecommunication company in Brazil. And they don't have mobile-friendly websites. This company is selling mobile. How dare you not have mobile-friendly? I'm angry. So information is becoming more democratic and more easily accessible on the go. We don't access information only when we are sitting in front of our computers. And this presents an amazing forward-looking opportunity, regardless of the marketing you do, to figure out how to truly leverage mobile. So those are like the three quick opportunities that I think all businesses in Brazil can take advantage of, that they're not perhaps taking advantage of at the moment. And this will mean happier customers, and that directly means more money and profitability for our Brazilian companies.
Claudia, when you ask him to say about the opportunities or the trends, or I don't know, I see digital experience, people raising rents, begging for someone to sell things to them in mobile. which means, and it seems we are making a lot of mistakes on this, actually, in Brazil, as Avinash said. Is that...
I'm not sure if we are making mistakes, but actually I think we are actually getting into that trend right now. I mean, when we talk about digital experience, absolutely we should invest more like in building better websites where customers actually can really enjoy a great experience, and we totally agreed with Avinash and his points. And before Avinash getting to mobile, because I think mobile is something very important from Brazil right now. We know that smartphones penetrations are increasing a lot, and we need to invest in that area. I would like to go a step behind and really talk about tags, about tagging the website and how actually we know that especially for retailers and OEMs, the ones that actually sells more online, tagging and actually having the conversion rate is very, very important. But sometimes there are a lot of data, it's very confused, the companies, they invest a lot of money in there, and they do not really know what to do with that data. So in your experience, how actually you could share like a tip or advice on what we have to do with all these data, and how can we work better with taggings?
Oh, absolutely. So one of the things is that as we work with TV and radio and magazines, all platforms that are very good and are going to be around for a very long time. They're not going anywhere. They will be there forever. It is very difficult to figure out how to measure success, how to measure that it is adding value. But on the web, one of the cool things is that even if you implement the standard Google Analytics tag, or if you use Adobe's platforms, Site Catalyst, if you implement the standard Site Catalyst tag, just don't monkey with it, just the standard one, you cleanly implement on your website and all the pages, immediately you can get 100 times more better information about the effectiveness of your digital campaigns than you would on any other platform in the world. So I say that the very first step is to make sure that the standard analytics tag is implemented cleanly and completely. Two important criteria.
Correct. Is really doing the basics correctly.
Exactly. Once you have that, move into the second step of implementing the e-commerce conversion tracking, right? E-commerce. So now we are able to track our key metrics, plus we are able to track revenue and conversion rate. Now from here on, you can say we will have a quarterly schedule for adding more features to the tag that is on our website. Don't wait. A lot of companies will say, I will make the most complicated tag known to God and Jesus and Krishna on day one. And if it takes me 500 years, I will do that first. And that is stupid, right? We don't want to do that. We want to have this stepwise process. One of the cool things, Claudia, I know that you're definitely telling your clients, is that we are telling people, look, we have a tag manager in Google Analytics. And you can use that tag manager if it makes your life easy. But tagging is not that complicated. But it does take us to the second question that you asked, which is harder. So once you implement the basic tag, and then you implement the e-commerce tracking, what should you analyze, right? Because you will get so much data, more data than anybody deserves to have, really. It's overwhelming. And so what I tell people is that you should take a stepwise process to your tracking. I wrote a blog post a couple of months ago in which I created the best web metrics for small business, medium-sized business, and large-sized business. And what I have laid out is an evolutionary path. So you start small, and then you go bigger and bigger and bigger. So I would say that initially, you should remember that you need to pick one big metric in 3 buckets. One is acquisition, one is behavior, one is outcome, which means one metric that tells you how well are you doing at attracting traffic, how well are you doing once they land on your website, and after they leave, did you make money? Three simple categories. So if we start, to answer your question, if we start with the smallest, simplest scenario, let us measure the number of unique visitors from all our marketing channels. Very simple. Don't measure anything else. Just that. Keep it simple. Second, measure the bounce rate of the people on your website. Because what bounce rate measures is the number of people who come and leave instantly. They just spit on you and leave. So we want to know how many people are doing that so we can fix our campaigns and pages. And the third simple thing you should measure is conversion rate. Okay? Very simple. Don't measure anything. Spend 6 months showering in this metric, and you will get plenty of data to analyze, right? Then as you move forward and you do more complicated things, you can say, oh, in addition to unique visitors, I will measure cost per acquisition, right? So now we know how many people we got and how much is each person costing us. That's really good, right? You become more complicated. On your website, in addition to bounce rate, you can measure page depth or visitor loyalty, your ability to retain traffic and get them to come back again and again. Very simple, right? Remember, we're thinking about our business. And then in addition to goal conversion rate, we also start measuring important things like number of people who sign up for email, number of people who visiting our store, the number of people who are watching our videos on the site, number of people who are creating wish list, right? Very simple things. And so this will take you to another 6 months, right? And so you go on this journey, and I can post a link to this post that I have. I have like a detailed post on this. I can share a link with that, a link for that post. But what I recommend is focus on 3 buckets. What are we doing to get traffic? Do we have metric for that? What are we doing to engage the traffic? Do we have metric for that? And at the end of that visit, are we making money? If we focus on these 3 buckets, it really helps crystallize our thinking and make sure that we are not measuring 50 things when we only need to measure 5 things.
It's really good.
In that sense, analytics seems to be very important for corporations.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, if you don't, I completely forgot. I thought this is obvious. If you're not measuring data for your web efforts, you are going to play a soccer game naked. You're going to be embarrassed, and people are going to kick you in the wrong places. Don't do that. It's just, don't ever do that, because it's not fun to go play a soccer game naked.
Definitely. Well, it depends. You have to come to Brazil to take a look at that. But anyway.
Okay,
Wanna
so
make
can
it?
I go?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So Avinash, you mentioned that one area of focus should be mobile. And as you saw, there are many retailers and other companies that has no mobile experience. Mm-hmm. But there are a few retailers that now have a mobile website and are like trying to understand. And what we hear a lot is that they don't see conversions, that the mobile conversions are not compared to desktop conversions, and they're really struggling about that. So what's your suggestion around that?
Yeah, no, it's an excellent point, and I think that they are reporting the correct data to you, in the sense that conversion rate on mobile platforms will be lower. Even as more people visit your mobile platforms, the conversion rate will be lower, because at the moment, the process of completing a purchase is very difficult on the web. The form is very long, your fingers are very fat, the keyboard is really small. It is very difficult to complete a conversion on the website. So during my talk in Brazil, I had shared this idea of having macro and micro conversions. The macro conversion is the idea that people will buy something from you, whether they buy a product, a pair of shoes, or a phone, or that they sign up for a new plan with your company. So that's all the macro conversion. But the micro conversions are the simpler actions that people are taking on your website that add value to your business. So as I mentioned a few minutes ago, that is simply signing up for your email programs, watching your videos, looking at the product comparison chart to figure out what product they should be buying, creating wish lists, recommending your products on social platforms. So when you measure the success of mobile websites, and this could be on your tablets, or this could be like iPad and Galaxy Tab, or this could be on mobile phones like my beautiful HTC One that I love, right? So whether you're on the phone or you're on the tablet, we should measure not only the macro conversion, but also these micro conversions. Because when I'm on my phone, I'm on my content consumption mental model. Like what I'm thinking about is, how do I decide what product to buy? How do I learn more about a certain product? I'm comparing things. So when our clients are running campaigns on Facebook, they're running campaigns on Google, what they should measure is not only how many macro conversions came, which will be small, but what about all the other micro conversions? Because you will have a whole bunch of them. And are we getting those on the website? Because people, if you will, are in the consideration and evaluation stages rather than purchase stages on the on mobile platforms. That's why these micro conversions are very important. Now, this is only a near-term problem because, as you know, in the US, Google has already launched the one-click purchase program where I can go to many websites. If I see a product, I only press one button, and then automatically the product is ordered. I don't input my shipping address, my billing address, my credit card. I don't have to do anything. So what happens is I am buying more on my tablet. I am buying more on my phone. Although more on my tablet, because again, you need a bigger screen to see the product and feel it a little bit more. So I am confident that at some point, all this stuff, innovation, we will also see in Brazil because so many companies are focused on that. But between now and then, I encourage people to measure what happens in the consideration and evaluation process of the purchase decision, measure the micro conversions for that, and then go from there. So let me give you two examples, right? So the first example is L'Oreal. You know, they make makeup. I'm sure L'Oreal, you have it in Brazil as well. Very beautiful company. If you go to the L'Oreal website on your mobile phone, the primary purpose of the website is to show you videos of how to put the right lipstick and nail polish and look pretty, right? Because when I'm on this device, I'm in a content consumption mood. Also, the buttons that you see on the product is save rather than buy, S-A-V-E, save. So what I'm doing is I'm looking at a lot of products and I hit save, 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 save. Now, when I open the desktop website when I'm at home, all the products transfer over there. So my saved products are on my desktop and I can complete the purchase over there, right? So this is one good example of providing information for the consideration and evaluation stages on mobile, measuring success of that, and make sure that you determine your Google campaign's success based on that. And then ensuring that there is a tie between mobile and desktop so that everybody wins. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I think L'Oreal is a great example. But just to understand a little bit more, Avinash. So for that, you would need to have like attribution model, right? Like to measure the impact of mobile on desktop conversion and so on. And we have been hearing a lot about that. And at least in Brazil, nobody knows how to do it well. So what is your suggestion to start working with attribution modeling? Because this trend, like to starting mobile and finishing desktop, you have to measure this. The client needs to understand what's the value of each part of the path.
Exactly. And this is where I think Regina had mentioned the idea of tagging better. And she had mentioned how it is very important to make sure your implementation is done correctly. Because when it comes to attribution modeling and these advanced kind of techniques, you do need a little bit more complicated implementation. So I want to underline what Regina had said. a few minutes ago about tagging. So let's talk about attribution. There are two facets about attribution. The first one is when people engage with our mobile website or our desktop websites, and they come to our website from Google and Microsoft and AOL and Terra and Facebook, they're coming to our website. We want to know how all of these digital channels are working together to drive a single conversion. So it is actually entirely possible that when you look at your a last click report, it may show that Terra is driving 100 trillion conversions. A small number. But when you look at your attribution report, you find that almost all of those people first came to your website from Google, right? So attribution modeling is the art of figuring out how do you make sure that you value your Google campaigns and your Terra campaigns correctly. So there is a very simple report in Google Analytics called Assisted Conversions. And by the way, to see this report, you don't have to do any extra implementation. So Regina will be happy about this, right? No extra tagging, just standard tag, right? You put the standard tag, and it shows you how many last click conversions were delivered by any channel, Google, Terra, Facebook, everybody. And the important one is how many last click conversions, how many assisted conversions were delivered by the channel. So you will see, oh, Google delivered 40,000 last click conversions, but it also helped drive additional 30,000 conversions through other channels. So when you think about attribution, very first, very simple, do this. Look at the assisted conversion report. Make sure you value each channel completely. Look at the assisted plus last click. And it's a very simple report, by the way. It will only have 6 or 7 rows in it. It is so easy. My 12-year-old is using that report to optimize her campaigns. It's that easy, okay? All right. So now we are doing that. Now what we want to do is figure out what about attributing conversions between our mobile phones, our tablets, and our desktop devices. How do we do that? So for this, at Google, we have released a new platform we call Universal Analytics. One of the cool things about Universal Analytics is it allows you to track the same person using an anonymous ID across all your platforms. Let me be very clear. We don't know that the person is Claudia or Regina or Fabio. We don't know that the name, but we know that it was the same unique person across devices. So for our clients, I would recommend that they reach out to our team in Google, or they reach out to some of our Google Analytics authorized consultants who are easily able to implement this across their platforms, which allows them to attribute mobile phone, tablet device, and your desktop conversions all together. I want to give you an example. Recently, for one of the retailers, we found that the people who spend the highest amount of money with the website, they form about 3% of the total clients, but they form about 25% of the revenue. Very small people. Actually, the common thing about all of these people is that the first time they came to our website was through an Xbox. It is amazing. I was Xbox? I don't use Xbox. Who is using Xbox? But we were able to find that they are the same people who first experience us on Xbox, but they end up converting on our desktop, laptop type experience. And they are very profitable for us. They are very few, but very profitable. So this is a solid example, Claudia, of doing what you're saying. I do want to say that it requires some implementation and expertise. But if you do it, the results are very rich and rewarding.
That's great. More questions?
Yeah, I think we can. So, moving a little bit from our events, you mentioned a lot your methodology, the see, think, and do. And yes, and of course, a lot of our clients really enjoyed, and we are trying to replicate it here for some of them. So, if you can just talk a little bit more about your last, examples and how actually we cannot be focus on only the last click. We mentioned a lot here, attribution model. It's a little bit more complicated that we are used to do it here. But what we can do when we think about building a plan, a digital plan, using the see, think, and do methodology?
Yes. So we have a lot of marketing models. You just have to you just have to type in marketing models in Google and you will get 10 million results, right? But I think that they were all marketing models that were built in ancient times, like the year 2000 or before, the times that we don't care about anymore. And they don't really use the landscape of possibilities we have today. So I developed this model I call See, Think, Do. And rather than selfishly thinking about a company, the model encourages you to think from a customer mindset. So I put all customers in the world into 3 buckets: see, think, and do. So let's say that you're Claro, the telecommunications company in Brazil. I love them, right? They have some pretty bad websites, but they are a very good company. So if I'm them, right? In the C stage is everybody who would like to communicate effectively with their relatives and friends, right? Whether it's using a mobile phone, whether using internet access, whether using any of the wonderful services that Claro is providing in Brazil. And so that's in the C bucket. Every single person who would like to communicate more effectively. It doesn't matter if they want to buy anything right now. It doesn't matter if that doesn't matter. All it is people who like to communicate. In the think are all the people who like to communicate, but they are thinking about getting a new service. They're thinking about buying a new phone. They may think about getting a new plan or things like that. But they may not be ready to buy. They just have this idea that, maybe I should drive a change. So that's the audience in think. And in do are all of the people who would like to communicate, who are thinking about making a change, who also want to buy right now, right? So see, think, and do. As you come down the spectrum, the person becomes more and more qualified in terms of their intention. So once you understand that everybody in the world is in 3 buckets, I recommend asking 3 questions of your business, and only 3 questions. First, do we have the content on our digital strategy that appeals to all 3 buckets? See, think, and do. If your entire website, mobile, desktop, or your mobile app that you have, if your entire strategy is just buy now, buy now, buy now, that is okay. But you have to realize you're talking to a very small number of people, just the people in do. There is a big, massive % of people who are thinking about getting to the do stage, but they're not there right now. What about having content for these people, right? Having amazing videos, amazing product comparison charts, amazing customer reviews, amazing, so many things. But not being aggressive in their face, buy now, right? And in the C stage are so many Brazilians who are interested in communication and learning about communication and new trends and new patterns. Do you have any content for that? Because it is important to realize that if you don't have content for each category, you cannot expect to do great marketing for the 3 categories. And you cannot get big success. That's the first question, do you have content? Second question, do you have a marketing strategy to amplify the content you have? So for example, if you have do content at Google and other companies around Brazil, we can work to find you hundreds and thousands of people who are just ready to buy now. And they're raising their hand and saying, sell to me, sell to me, sell to me. And we can bring them to you, right? But at the same time, we can also use our display platform. We can use our social platform. We can use so many things we have in terms of advertising to put your brand in front of people who are thinking about this right now. But make sure that when you create those ads, the ad is not saying buy now, because that's not what we're trying to do. Create an ad that encourages them to come and engage with you in this early stage. And the same thing for the C stage, right? We have amazing marketing platforms, but you should align your marketing for C, marketing for think, marketing for do. When you have C marketing campaigns, they should be brand awareness, brand marketing. When you have think, it is about your brand awareness, brand marketing plus product value. If it's do, it's buy now. Yeah. The last question then you have to ask is, so do I have the right content? Do I have the right marketing? Then the last question is, do I have the right measurement? So let's say that, Regina, you and I are going to create a great display campaign for Claro, or a great YouTube campaign. YouTube is great at think. YouTube is great at think. Now, if we run these ads, and Claro will say, oh, my conversion is bad. Well, that's crazy. Well, none of those people are ready to buy, right? They are in the think stage. So what I have advocated, so what happens then is they'll say, oh, like in the mobile case, they'll say, no conversion, kill you, kill you. But the thing is, those people are not ready to buy. Using conversion to judge the success of a think stage is like judging a fish by its ability to climb a tree. It's crazy, right? So in my keynote in Brazil, and we can share this slide with people if they want, I have defined C metrics, think metrics, and do metrics. So you should make sure that for your marketing campaigns, you're judging the fish by its ability to swim and not climb a tree. So that's all it is, Regina. 3 simple stages in which the customer is, making sure our content is aligned to each of the 3 stages, making sure that our marketing is aligned to each of the 3 stages, and a measurement is aligned to the 3 stages. And the end result is your advertising and your content makes people happy, because rather than saying, sleep with me right now on the first date, you take the person out on a nice date, then another date, and then send them flowers, and then something happens, right? And the customers love it, just like you and I would love it. Right?
Yes.
Very romantic. And using data means that you can be ruthlessly efficient about making sure that every single amount of money we are spending, every real we are spending in See, Think, and Do is driving an enormous amount of value to your business. This is why, measurement is important, because we don't want people to do advertising on the internet based on faith. Yeah. We don't want them to do it because the Bible said so. We want them to do it because it is driving business value.
Mobile was a important issue during our conversation here, but also during last week conversations, during the Think interviews we made. And it seems there is a gap on mobile investments, because you mentioned Claro, you mentioned the telcos, most of them are selling cellular phones, but they don't have a nice website friendly to mobile devices. What the advice you can give to a company that wants to go into the mobile environment, invest in the mobile?
I think that there are 2 pieces of advice, right? You have to remember that when people are using mobile platforms, it is a lot of see and think. So as a company, you have to step back and say, on our mobile platforms, do we have see and think content? And then you want to highlight that, just the way L'Oreal is doing, right? Just the way so many companies around the world are doing. They're saying, we're going to create a great mobile strategy, not by being selfish about our company, but giving our customers what they want, which is the see and think content. That's the primary thing. And I think the challenge for many companies, not only in Brazil, but here in the United States, I'm going to Paris next week to meet all the luxury brands in Paris, the topmost luxury brands. And so let's say I'm Cartier, and I have to think about, if I'm Cartier, what is my mobile strategy? And again, I'm going to say to them, look, what's see and what's think? Let's do that. So that's number 1. 2, because of that, if you copy paste your desktop website to mobile, just make it mobile friendly, that is not a great way to measure success. Because as we discussed with Claudia, we want to give people the content they want, and we want to focus on the micro conversions and not the macro. That is a very important advice for these companies to follow, is that we should use that as our success. And the third thing is use the capabilities of the mobile platform to create something unique. So let me give you 2 quick examples of using mobile capabilities. So the reason that the L'Oreal website is at the top of my mind is I spoke to a group of marketers in New York last week, and I went to the mobile website for L'Oreal the night before at 2 o'clock when I do all my work, 2 o'clock in the night. I went to the L'Oreal website on the mobile phone to get some screenshot. And the message at the very top told me the time of the time. It told me the temperature because it automatically detected where I was. And then the text at the top said, beauty sleep is very important, go to bed. This is amazing. It realized it's 2 o'clock in the night.
Did you go to bed?
Not be on the
Did you go to bed? No.
Oh, no, I did. Like, oh, God. If the website is telling me I should sleep, I should probably go to sleep. But
Right.
notice, they deliver this amazing delight by leveraging the sensors in this thing. This thing is very powerful, right?
Oh, that's right.
I give you another example. One of my favorite companies here in the US is a dog food company called Beneful. And they sell dog food, right? Expensive dog food, but they sell dog food. When you open the Beneful website on your mobile device, the very first button doesn't say buy dog food. That's not what it says. The very first button says find a dog park close to you to play with your dog.
Fantastic.
I love that, right? I love the fact that they realize when I open my phone and go to their website, it is unlikely I'm trying to buy dog food. I probably am trying to play with my dog. So the option you get is find a place to play with your dog, a dog hotel, or a place, a concert to go with your dog. So like, how do you do things? That's the first button. The third button is buy now, right? Because they realize on the mobile device you don't want to buy. The same thing with Motrin. Motrin is a medicine here in the US for children. And when you go to the Motrin website, the big button that opens up says, find the perfect Motrin for your child. So you open it up, and I tell them, oh, my child has a fever, it has a runny nose, and you press a button, and it tells you which medicine to give your child.
Fantastic.
Because they know that when I'm standing in with my child who is sick, in my back pocket, I have my phone. So these are just a couple of examples that I hope inspire our Brazilian companies not to think of mobile as only a buying channel. It will do that. It will do some of that, and that's great. Not to think of it as a channel where they can copy paste their desktop strategy. You can do it. It is not going to make you great, but you won't suck at least.
Fantastic.
Open your mind. Open your mind to the amazing possibilities that this platform and the sensors that are in there provide so that you can create something. Now, all the websites I mentioned to you a second ago, I go to them again and again and again and again and again. And I have such a close connection to the brand that I only buy Motrin medicine. I only buy Beneful dog food. I only go to L'Oreal for cosmetics because I have such a great connection. I'm constantly using them on my mobile devices, right? Mobile is not a one-night stand. You want to score like a long game. You want to be creative. It is so amazing. Like, I cannot tell you how delighted I am when I think about the possibilities of mobile. And Regina, Claudia, I'm sure you're the same, crazy like me.
So.
Well, we're still thinking about this, right?
Yeah. We are in the early stages, but we are going to get there, definitely.
Yeah.
Avinash, when do you come back to Brazil?
My wife yesterday was showing me pictures of the Iguazu Falls.
Oh,
and
that's great.
she wants to see if we can go to the World Cup. So she told me yesterday. So maybe I should call Fabio and see what we can do.
Yes, you should.
Definitely.
Definitely should.
Definitely. I want to thank you for your time and all your knowledge, and it was a nice talk. Thanks.
Thank you. No, it was a great delight and honor for me to speak with the three of you, and I am super amazingly excited about Brazil. The thing I love about the people I met in our three events is how much they share our passion for the web and the passion for the customers. We just have to figure out how to unlock this thing together. I'm really excited for Brazil.
Thanks very much, man.
Thank you, Avinash.
Thank you,
Regina.
Avinash.
Thank you, meninas. Muito obrigado.
Obrigada a
Regina,
você.
Cláudia, obrigado. Obrigado vocês que estiveram com a gente nessa série aqui. Bom, a gente se vê por aí, então. Um beijo a todos. Até a próxima.